All right, so this is the exciting part. This is where I go over what I would have done in the NFL draft for the Tennessee Titans, pick 11. Um, Now, looking at the landscape of the team, obviously there's some glaring holes. You definitely want to start in the trenches. I can understand that logic, right? Definitely wanting to get there and getting it done, prioritizing a guy like Peter Skoronsky. And hey, he was there for me as well. But something that I did want to do is just think of it like this. What's another way that you can protect your quarterback? Have receivers that can get open and get open quickly. And you're going to have that with Jackson Smith and Jigba and his impressive short area quickness. So that's my selection. I would have selected wide receiver out of Ohio State, Jackson Smith and Jigba. We talk about giving our quarterbacks, weapons. I think Vrabel had the comment years ago talking about who am I going to throw it to if I'm not handing it off to Derrick Henry? Well, you got to make moves to kind of combat that narrative. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, a lot of people's at least top three wide receiver in this class, if not one. He's going to win at the line of scrimmage. He's going to win in the middle of the field. He has yards after catch ability. He has sure hands. The only thing that you have to really worry about is as with any player, is the soft tissue injuries and and that risk. But outside of that, you got a good player. So, this is when I make these videos, it's not to combat what the Titans did to a degree to where it's like I disagree totally. Like Peter Skoronsky is a home run, selection. Let's not get that mistaken. But at the same time, this is how I would view it, and this is how I would play my board, just simply because you saw it play out real time, right? You got to a point in the draft where you're wondering why certain wide receivers that was hyped by media guys, why aren't they being selected? Because the league wasn't high on them, as was I. Like I wasn't either. I had a lot of those guys where I saw media have them top five. For example, Cedric Tillman or Tyler Scott, guys like that slid a little bit further than what you would expect, just simply because it wasn't that type of draft. There was so much more value in other places. There was so much that these players had to work on to really be a fit for certain schemes. So I went ahead and got, started my trek for getting, high end receiving talent with the guy that was already there at 11. It's not rich at all. It's a nine position difference to where he actually got drafted. And you just get a guy that, he can be a Julian Edelman type, CD Lamb type, Doug Baldwin, Adam Thielen type. He can be anywhere from possession to a significant yak yardage type of guy. And that was just my mindset coming into this. And I feel like, an interior lineman position, which I believe that Peter Skoronsky best projects to, you can find those guys in free agency. Um, and that can be supplemented in some type of ways with solid talent around the league, right? Like, for example, the Titans started Aaron Brewer, who is 6 foot 280, right? He's an outlier for a lineman, but yet he has started for them. Now, I'm not going to say whether he did good or bad. That's up to them to evaluate, and I know the answer, but this isn't about Aaron Brewer. But at the same time, that interior can be supplemented, and not to mention interior lineman was a strength of this draft class, if you ask me. Whether it was converts, tackle to guard converts involved, it was, you could find maybe not someone of Peter Skoronsky's footwork and athleticism and IQ, but you have guys there, you have bodies there that can develop into something significant. So just weighing those things, and then weighing how many receivers in the draft were like Jaxon Smith-Njigba, which wasn't many. There wasn't a Jaxon Smith-Njigba doppelganger in this draft class. There are players that are similar to Peter Skoronsky in terms of versatility, but not quite Peter Skoronsky. So just weighing those checks and balances. So I would have selected the wide receiver out of Ohio State, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, and stay tuned for the next one.